So this question gets asked a lot, and I thought I should address it again, especially since somebody asked it again. And it's the obvious question that's been asked for millennia, which is why don't Jews accept Jesus as the Messiah? And the obvious answer is because he isn't. That's obvious. And it's obvious to anybody who's actually expecting the Jewish Messiah, which is why during the time of Paul, it was rejected by pretty much all the Jews. And then people are like, "You rejected the Messiah. How dare you?" And it's like, well, obviously we did, because there's no question about it. I'm sorry, this is. Let me try fixing this so I'm not shaking so much. Hopefully this is better. Am I not shaking as much? Not as much, but still shaking. Let me try this. Okay, so hopefully that'll be better. And people ask me, so here's the simple answer. And I think one of the best and easiest things that I can say is listen to how Christians respond to Mormons. Here you go. So this is James Wood, who you may recognize from back when he still had hair, and was much younger, and his whole ministry was against the LDS, and not realizing how his arguments obviously showed Christianity is wrong. He ended up showing why Christianity is obviously wrong. You can't show me from the Christian scriptures why Jesus is the Messiah. You have to show me from the Jewish scriptures why you think Jesus is the Messiah. I'm sorry, this shaking is really trying to see if I can fix it in any way. No, it's still shaking. Okay. Sorry about that. Um, Atonement has nothing to do with it. It's the the simple understanding you have to have if you're a is Jesus the Christ? Is he the Messiah? Not a Messiah, and that's a whole other thing that I could get into because that's my little racket. Uh, Sorry about this, but this is. Oh well. Might have to get yet another camera if this continues to be like this. Um, the thing is, it's showing just fine I'm sorry. This might be a problem with OBS and thing. Anyway, let me try this. Nope. Yeah, it's still shaking even though it's just me. Um, you know what? There we go. We'll forget about me for a few seconds. Or here, I'll make myself tiny, and hopefully that won't bother you too much. Okay. Oh, you guys couldn't hear. You didn't hear what Wood said. Oops. You know what? I'm gonna stop with all the technical stuff and just keep on going. Um, so, is Jesus the Messiah? Obviously not. And I say that obviously because every Christian believes in a second coming of Jesus. Why a second coming of Jesus? Because there are unfulfilled promises of the Messiah. Case over. Finished. Jesus did not fulfill all of the messianic prophecies. And, I mean, one of the most famous, Habakkuk 14, I could, I mean, 2:14, I could keep on, like, all of, and you could go through Isaiah and you could go, so there's this idea of the Jewish Messiah that's going to come and is going to actually make the world perfect, right? The Messianic era, the second coming, according to Christians. And the reason Christians believe in the second coming isn't something I came up with. It's not something that Judaism came up with. It's something that Christians came up with. And so if you believe in a second coming of Jesus, that means that Jesus has not fulfilled the promises of the Messiah. End of story, finished. All Christians agree with Jews that Jesus has not fulfilled all of the prophecies of the Messiah. Now, what Christians will then say is he fulfilled some of the prophecies of the Messiah. That's why we believe he is the Messiah and he will be the Messiah. And which makes me again question, well, where in the Bible does it say that if someone fulfills some of the prophecies of the Messiah, then you should believe and do all of these things, right? And it's like, it's nowhere, right? And the funny thing is, when you look in context, when you actually study the supposed things of the Messiah, and most famously, Isaiah 7, right? 14. Therefore the Lord himself shall give you a sign. Behold, a virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and shall call his name Emmanuel. Well, there you go. Well, first of all, is this a prophecy of the Messiah? Read the actual chapter. This is a prophecy to Ahaz. That's perfectly clear. And it's not a prophecy of the Messiah alone, that's for sure. Even Christians won't say it's a prophecy of the Messiah alone. Christians will say it's a prophecy also of the Messiah, which makes me ask you, so was it a virgin that was born? So we have two virgin births. Jesus wasn't the only virgin, and then Christians will retreat and retreat and retreat and retreat. And now that we've absolutely made clear to everyone, A, Jesus definitely has not actually fulfilled Christians don't believe that Jesus has fulfilled the prophecies of the Messiah. That's end of story, end of debate. You want to tell me Jesus will be the Messiah? Okay, I don't care. I honestly don't care. But say, I believe Jesus will be the Messiah. That's not what you say. You say Jesus is the Messiah. Well, that's clearly not true. Clearly not true. Obviously not true. There's no argument to be had here. Zero argument to be had here. Christians don't believe that Jesus has fulfilled the prophecies of the Messiah. There are so many of them which clearly he has not. So the debate is over. And Christianity has to do a full retreat and start saying, but he fulfilled some of the prophecies of the Messiah. And that's already shifting the goalpost. It is already shifting the goalpost. Because what is absolutely clear is that there are prophecies of the Messiah which have not been fulfilled. And what Christians have been forced to do is reinterpret these clear prophecies of the Messiah into other things. And say he fulfilled them in different ways. Not, and this is what Paul Vanderklay constantly says, is well, Jesus redefined the word Messiah. And it's like, who did he redefine it from? Who defined it, and why did it need a redefinition? Who defined it in the wrong way to begin with? And this is why you get Marcionism and you get the Old Testament being thrown away. Because who made the old definition that was wrong? Why didn't God tell Isaiah and Habakkuk and Daniel and all these prophets, and in their prophecies, why didn't God tell them something that why does it need to be redefined? No answer. No answer. Christianity is obviously wrong. There's no question about it. And I mean, if you want to tell me that Isaiah was saying that a virgin shall conceive and bear a son to Ahaz, right? So you're telling me that there were two children of virgins. And honestly, if I actually looked up the statistics, about 16 women claim to have virgin births every year. 16 virgin births every year. There can be no sign of a virgin birth. Because how do you know that it's a virgin birth? You don't. You can't. How do you verify that? You can't. Therefore, it can't be a sign. There are so many things that are so obviously wrong with Christianity that it's ridiculous. It's absolutely, obviously, absurdly ridiculous. And that's the only reason why, if you could convince me that Jesus is the Messiah, I would be like, yay, great. Yes, there have been many, 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 many false messiahs, failed messiahs in Jewish history. Why? Because we look forward to the Messiah. And if Jesus fulfilled those prophecies, why wouldn't we accept it? And that's why Christians, like in Romans, have to believe there's a supernatural. No, there's no supernatural. There's a reason why Jews who actually understand the Bible and know their Bible don't accept Jesus as our Messiah. Because we know what the Messiah is. You can go and say to a bunch of Gentiles who have no conception of a Jewish Messiah and the coming of the Messiah, or even Jews who really don't know their religion very well, and say to them, hey, look, Jesus will be the Messiah. Jesus is the Messiah, because you get to define what Messiah is for them. But if you're looking at the actual definitions of Messiah that are in the Bible, they don't. Jesus did not okay, I mean, your questions again, like, let's start with the basics, going into like various. Jesus was resurrected, therefore he must be the Messiah. There are resurrections all over the Bible. Like these, none of these are actual, and that's why I played the James Wood clip, which you guys didn't hear, which is he says you have to match it up with the Bible. And when you match it up with the Bible, it obviously doesn't work. Obviously. And one person specifically brought up Daniel 9. I'm reading it in the King James Version. Just so you guys, just so nobody claims all the things that Christians claim. 70 weeks are, this is verse 24, are determined upon thy people and upon thy holy city to finish the transgression and to make an end of sins and to make reconciliation for iniquity and to bring in everlasting righteousness and to seal up the vision and prophecy and to anoint the most holy. Know therefore and understand that from the beginning, from the going forth of the commandment to restore and to build Jerusalem until the Messiah the Prince shall be 7 weeks and 60 and 2 weeks, the street shall be built again, and the wall, even in troublous times. And after 62 weeks shall Messiah be cut off, but not for himself. And the people of the prince that shall come shall destroy the city and the sanctuary. And the end therefore shall be with a flood, and unto the end of the war desolations are determined. And he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week, and in the midst of the week he shall cause the sacrifice and the oblation to cease, and for the overspreading of abominations he shall make it desolate, even until the consummation, and that determined shall be poured upon the desolate. I have to say, this is actually the closest thing to something which Christians have been able to somewhat mistranslate in order to make it sound like we're talking about Jesus, because of all kinds of calculations they do with the 70 weeks and the Daniel and all that. And honestly, even with this, it's obviously wrong. To finish the transgression and to make an end of sins. Has Jesus made an end of sins? You, as a Christian, do you believe that Jesus has made an end of sins? To bring in everlasting righteousness? Do you actually believe that? Do Christians not sin? Do Christians not sin? Can you seriously say that you, as a Christian, do not sin? Oh, so Jesus is doing a thing where in heaven. Be serious. What changed with Jesus? What changed with Jesus? What did Jesus do? Jesus died. Do you know how many um, failed messiahs were killed by the Romans? It wasn't one or two or three or four, and it was during the exact time of Jesus. Why Jesus and why not any of the other guys? There is not one single um, prophecy of the Messiah that Jesus filled. Not even one. Not even one. Go ahead, give me your best. Give me your thing of the one prophecy of the Messiah that Jesus did fulfill. Just make sure it's the best one. Because when I show that it's obviously A, not unique to Jesus, B, not anything anybody could have known, C, not usually not even a prophecy of the Messiah at all, go on the Gish Gallop, a different thing. Like, Christianity is obviously wrong. That's not going to make billions. There are 2 billion Christians. And the reason they believe it is not because of proofs. They didn't believe in the Jewish Bible and then become convinced that Jesus is actually the Jewish Messiah. That never happened. What did happen, and what we're finding out more and more, and there's lots of evidence of this now with archaeology, is that there were people who were hoping Jesus would be the Messiah, and basically, as Jews, they ultimately accepted that obviously that's not what happened. And this is something that's happened over and over and over again in Jewish history. But the people who believe in Christianity, right, showing them that Jesus is not the Jewish Messiah leaves them with nothing. And because they have nothing left, they then either come up with various reasons for understanding Christianity differently, or they give up on Christianity, or because they didn't start on a foundation of Judaism. And the reason why people like Tovia Singer, now that Jews are allowed to answer directly, which for thousands of years we were not, and Christians have the capacity to look in their Bible and see how obviously wrong Christianity is, that's why we have so many Noachites. And it's been growing exponentially, which is great. But that's because people have decided to actually take Judaism seriously. And when you take Judaism seriously, it becomes very, very clear that Jesus did not fulfill the role of the Messiah. That's obvious. What role did Jesus actually fulfill? This is what gets into trouble. And one of the people who are going to be watching this, hopefully, who asked me, and I have to think. So explain. So Mike Winger brings up a very good point that a lot of people bring up. Obviously, Jesus did something, so what are you telling me he did? What what is the role of Christianity? And that's not something that Judaism has been willing to answer. And a really large part of it has been out of defensiveness. And so, in one of these debates, somebody in the Q&A asked the rabbi question about um, Jesus, and the rabbi said, "I'm trying to protect you. I'm not going to answer." And lots of people are like, "Hey, what? What?" Um, and this is something that I've been trying to explain and bring up, and I was hoping to get a Messianic Jew to come on my channel to discuss it, and I was not able to. Which is so, and Mike Winger brings this up. He's like, well, are why do Jews say, if you say Jesus is the Messiah, you're not even Jewish anymore. You have to, uh, we have to uh, cut you out of our synagogues. We have to protect ourselves from you. Um, Whereas, honestly, there have been Jews throughout Jewish history who have said so and so is the Messiah, so and so is the Messiah. And you see it in Acts 5, latter half of Acts 5, where Gamliel brings this up. And the question becomes, if a Jew is actually keeping the Torah, doing everything, and he believes that Jesus will be the Messiah for any number of reasons, or he believes that Jesus, not being God, obviously, because obviously a human being isn't God and the Messiah isn't God, and like, if we get through all the problems of what is obviously wrong with Christianity, then can such a person be a Jew, be admitted into Israel, be continue as part of the Jewish community? And I'm going to say something that a lot of people to this day are trying not to say. But ultimately, I don't think we can stop because it is out there. And which is the secret weapon that synagogues have had against infiltration by Christians who do believe things like Jesus is the Messiah already. Jesus has fulfilled the messianic prophecies, all kinds of various idolatries and polytheism and things which are completely unacceptable, is Matthew 10, verse 32. Whosoever therefore shall confess before me before men, him will I confess also before my Father which is in heaven. But whosoever shall deny me before men, him will I also deny before my Father which is in heaven. And these are the verses that rabbis use to abjure people suspected of being Christians before they ask him, do you believe in Jesus? And that person will lie about just about anything, but hopefully not about this, as many, many Christians do. In order to infiltrate our communities, they will lie, they will be everything to all men. And that's the problem. That's why Jesus is different. Not because of anything inherent in Judaism. If you understand that Jesus obviously isn't the Messiah, but you think he will be the Messiah, and you're not saying something as blasphemous as saying Jesus is God, and you're not saying anything as polytheistic as you believe in the Trinity, or, all of those things. And it just comes down to Jewish Christianity, which existed 2,000 years ago, and to some extent has started existing again. The problem, the reason why Jesus has become a focal point is particularly because of Paul's teachings of being all things to all men, which a lot of Christians will use as an excuse to lie. Okay. Let's. So, I mean, I hope that's clear. Let's go through people's comments. Christians are definitely wrong somewhere. Do you think Jesus resurrected? No, I do not. Hymen isn't proof of virginity. What happens if the third temple is rebuilt? Honestly, or when it is, honestly, it there are so many other things. If you are honestly saying the messianic, somebody is the Messiah, then all of everything has to be fulfilled, and it's not just the third temple. Yeah, I know you don't think he's the Messiah, but do you think he resurrected? I don't. Christians believe that by faith they don't sin and live in righteousness. Really? Do they? Hey there. A Messiah cannot be determined easily. Actually, the opposite is true. A Messiah can be determined very easily. Zechariah 11:12 through 13. I think I know which that one is, but just in case. Zechariah 11. 12 through 13. And I said unto them, if ye think good, give me my price, and if not, forbear. So they weighed for my price 30 pieces of silver, and the Lord said unto me, cast it onto the potter, a goodly price. Where did you see Messiah here? Like, what? Everyone that 30 pieces of silver, like, how is this some sort of proof? Like, so if I were to give 30 pieces of silver to somebody to betray you, you would become the Messiah? Is that the thing? Hey, Chad. Why do you think there's no thriving Jewish civilization like Protestant America? Israel doesn't seem to count to me. What do you think? Because there will... Well, first of all, Israel will always be the smallest of nations. That's something that's just given. But ultimately, I think, because that's not really going to happen until... although, I mean, at various times there were Jewish countries that worked, like, I mean, famously Khazaria, but... Third temple predictions rebuilt in our lifetimes. And what are we chatting about here? We're chatting about that which is obvious, I hope, to everybody, which is, at the very least, the Christians are wrong. Could you be wrong? If so, how? It's possible that I could be wrong, but if I knew that I was wrong, I would say so. As far as I know, I'm not wrong, and uh, as far as I know, I'm not wrong. And I mean, could I be wrong? Yeah, I guess. I mean, I'm not exactly infallible, but I mean, there are lots of things I don't know. Um, there, I have no. I think this is how we are, brothers. We may both be wrong, but can't see it. Well, that's the point. That's why we have conversations and stuff. And that's why you need to be able to have honest conversations. And why I think the fact that for thousands of years, we couldn't have honest conversations. I mean, you look at the Disputation of Barcelona, which was over 500 years ago, and you see what happened there. I mean, I think it's pretty clear what happened there. Christians couldn't deal with simply talking this through. And once again, I think Christians don't deal with talking with this through. But we can get closer to the truth, and we can actually acknowledge that we're wrong. And I think truth matters. So. Does frames per second actually matter? I'm looking at cameras for no good reason. Yeah, deconstruction is painful, but like, what option do you have? If anybody wants to come on, just let me know. And I'll send you a link, and we can talk. Understandable, my dude. Okay, I think I'm gonna stop this stream and maybe I'll have a just chatting stream afterwards. See you guys in a little while.